Hi, Tal. Thank you so much for giving us your time right now to just have a quick little feedback on the course you've just finished studying, which is level two, book one, The Life of Christ. So we just completed all the 10 blocks and we're coming to the end of it now. I think you're going to go on to book two, hopefully. But for now, it'll be great to just get an understanding of, just your thoughts, what you thought from it, anything good, anything really bad, or anything that was super amazing, or anything that you also learned as well, like anything that particularly has struck on your heart or on your mind from level two.
Thank you very much. I think it's been really helpful to have done this course, book one. I found a lot of the historical facts quite helpful. The background, the geographical background, or the political background of Jesus's time around his youth and his infancy, in this book in particular. All those backgrounds were really helpful things to have learned, and also the timelines, things like the timelines that were given, that really helped us to just get a grips of what for example, just the general timeline of what the Old Testament was, from the beginning of the Jewish nation, from Abraham all the way to Jesus. And I think it's been really helpful to have these different knowledge points that kind of just consolidate what we know about Jesus's life, and from our own Bible study or our own learning through the Bible. But it's just been really helpful to have these extra knowledge points. One thing I do find slightly I struggle each week is to have being able to apply what we have learned each week during that week specifically into my personal life. I think, but on the other hand, it's just helpful. These are just helpful application points that we will be able to apply when timing is right, as long as I remember. But I think that was the only thing that each week, when I try to remember what I should or could have put into application or practice,
Right.
from what I've learned. It doesn't always happen because of just wherever my life stage is, or the circumstances, or whatever it is. So that's the only thing. And also, I guess it'll be I guess this is the beginning of the rolling out of the course, but as the course grows, I think with a larger group of people, discussions would be more even more fruitful. Although we have a lot of good discussions already, I think with a slightly larger group of people learning together, it'll only be even more enriching to each other's experiences and understanding of what we're learning. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tal. So would you say that I think maybe we need to apply more practical ways to apply to your everyday life, and so it needs to maybe be more practical hints and tips on how to apply to your life, maybe.
Maybe, maybe I don't know. That's just off the top of my head. I just look back and think. I think that seems to be the point each week. I don't always have the opportunity to share or to apply what we learned that week specifically. So I guess that may be a point to encourage future students or whoever take on the course to say it's this application may not be restricted to this week.
Yeah.
It might come again at a different point in
Yeah,
time.
definitely.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's a very good point. And would you say that with the actual teaching and the method it's been, because obviously you've got to do your homework, coursework just before.
Yes, yeah,
Which
yeah.
is,
That's one of the other things I actually quite enjoyed. Although the book is thick and looks massive, it comes with a giant folder. One of my friends who was going to be uh, joining me, just looking at my big folder, said, "Oh no, it looks, you know, massive.
yeah.
There must be a lot of work to do." But actual fact, all most of the questions are repetitive and
Hmm.
quite plain and simple.
Yeah.
It's just a good way. I don't know. It's also to do with my Chinese background. This is how we learn, a lot
Mhm.
of repetition, and I don't really spend. I don't find myself spending awful long time finishing doing the coursework beforehand. I could do it just if I'm tight, just the night before,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's not a heavy work where
Mm.
I'm bogged down and just struggle to get finished each week. It's actually quite easy to go along
Mm.
with your daily life, with
Yeah.
a working life, or like yourself, a young mom and
Hmm.
with a young baby. So
Yeah.
I think in that respect, I find it um, quite manageable.
Mm. But would you say the group meeting when we discuss though gets a bit deeper? Because
Mm,
the course probably is, I think the gold project style is always going to be quite repetitive in a way that the course is written.
hmm
In order for us to kind of remember all that we were writing about. But would you say that when we come to discussion every week, would you say that it gets a little bit deeper, or do you think um, maybe we need to get deeper, or maybe that the discussions aren't so repetitive, but maybe they have more insight to them, or what
Yeah,
would?
I think the discussions are really good, and usually I think always. David seems to have a lot more Bible verses that than we have looked at through the course, just to flip through even more passages and more verses to kind of consolidate what we have learned.
Mm.
And then there are definitely um, some, yeah, thought-provoking questions to um, encourage us to reflect on what we have learned and how we look at this particular topic or in question. So yeah, I think in the group settings that certainly happens.
Oh, great. Cool. So, would you recommend this group, and would you say this course? Sorry, and have you have you have you done? You haven't done any others previously, right? This is your first one.
Yeah, this is the first one with this gold project, I think. I I, I would recommend it to any Christian really who uh, maybe a new Christian, maybe a seasoned Christian who want to brush up their knowledge. I certainly learned a lot of kind of historical facts, geographical or political facts that are not necessarily spelled out in the Bible, which just helped me to understand the background a bit more and understand where, for example, even how Jesus traveled, his timeline, and all of those things are really helpful.
Mm.
So it's not just a muddle in my head. I seem to know he's been here, I seem to know he's been there, but
Yeah,
we have a slightly better idea
yeah.
of where he's been, even things like looking at the maps, looking at graphs or different charts. I think those are really, really helpful tools.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Tal. Thank you for your time.